Welcome back to the channel. For today's review, we're taking a look at the GAMERVERSE Cyclops from S.H.Figuarts. Front of the box just has Cyclops. You can see some of the accessories that he comes with. Other side of the box, Cyclops, GAMERVERSE. Back of the box, you can see him posed up. The big optic blast effect that he comes with. Then other side of the box, just another picture of Cyclops, and then the GAMERVERSE moniker, and then his name. Let's get this guy open and take a closer look. And here is Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, out of the packaging. And on first view, you can see all of that nice dark blue shading all throughout the suit. I'm really glad that they did that, or else he'd be very plain, just with the plain blue there. I wish they would have put some shading on the yellow. That really would have elevated it. Getting it a little bit closer here. Looks nice. The X-Men logo is clean on the chest and the belt. The head sculpt, I think, looks fine. The hair definitely could have used a wash, some shading. It's just that brown plastic. So I don't know if they just decided to spend all their budget making the body have this airbrush, and then everything else they just said, well, just deal with it. I do like how shiny the visor is. I think that's nice. Like the red, it's clean on there. The leg straps are painted, and they're painted very cleanly. Coming down to the boots, again, very clean. Very nice, but just pure yellow. Bottom of the feet doesn't have anything besides the copyright information. And he has a little black spot right here, but it's kind of coming off when I'm chipping away at it, so I'll just need to get that off with some nail polish remover and he'll be all good to go. But backing up a bit to take a look at his articulation. So naturally, he can just look up about that much. Coming down, he can look down about that much. The arms, they do go up pretty high. Also for the head, he can do tilt side to side, of course. The head and neck is a separate joint, which is nice. His accessories also lean towards him getting more head articulation, but we'll get into that when we get there. He does have bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which still have that shading going through it, and I think it's really nice. The hands are on a typical ball hinge. Bring his arms in for like a butterfly joint, or crossing them over his chest. They don't go that far, so keep that in mind. Although they are coming out from the back, they don't go that far forward. But of course, you can still get his arms crossed over each other, bending the elbows, etc. For the torso, you can kind of rock it back and forth. It's not really going anywhere. You can kind of swivel it. Down here is where the straps are connected. You can kind of see that there. And they move around when the body twists. But be careful. I wouldn't want to pop those out unless you're willing to super glue that back in. And then on the front here, it's tabbed there through the front. In terms of getting his lower torso to swivel, there's nothing there, which is interesting. It doesn't move at all. Moving back, you can get him to bend this far back. You see how the straps bend there? They're softer plastic. Bending forward, he's not going forward at all. Now I have seen people, there's a ab crunch mod where you like pull this off and you get a longer peg. So one, he stands a little taller, which you can already kind of lift him up a bit and make him stand a little bit taller, but that taller ball peg in the torso would probably help out in making him stand taller and actually have an ab crunch. My brother actually has a 3D printer, so I'm planning on making him, or asking him, to print me out a taller ball joint for his torso. If anyone else wants one, let me know down in the comments below and we can work something out. But continuing on with his articulation, for the legs, he has this ugly diaper. I really wish they would do away with these flaps. They're really annoying. Just give him like a really soft rubber diaper piece and, call it a day. It doesn't break up the sculpt and look weird. But he can kick his feet up, or his leg up, that high. He does have upper thigh swivel. The legs can do the splits about that far out. He does kick back as well. That's something I usually never show, but just because these legs, it's like a given that they can kick back because it's all one piece. Double jointed knees, which I think look really nice. Again, it continues on with that shading. The boot does not have a swivel, but the foot goes down about that much, comes up about that much, and it does have a nice ankle rocker and a toe joint. The boots are very, or like his ankles are very, very smooth, which I really like. I hope they continue that for other figures in the line. But yeah, his articulation, I mean, it's not the best in the world in terms of the abdomen. Like, you really want to get him to move around, and he just doesn't. He's very stiff in the abdomen, so that's a huge disappointment from Tamashii Nations. Let's move on to his accessories. So for his accessories, he comes with a couple pairs of hands. So first off, we're going to get the clawing action pose type hands. They're all molded in that yellow plastic, which is nice. He has the karate chop sculpted hands, which is for that one specific pose. He has two like pointer finger hands, like gun pointing or salute hands. Nice. Then last but not least, he has two splayed open hands. And those are all the hands that he comes with. He does come with two different neck pieces. Both of these are for using the optic blast effect and for using this effect too. So you do get one bigger like optic blast beam. You can take this off and interchange it with just the normal visor where it doesn't have a beam on it. But in the packaging, it comes all together as one piece. And then you have this shorter beam here. I think that looks really, really nice. Both of these have a nice magenta gradient to like this soft, foggy white color, which I think looks really, really nice. I don't like what they did with the mouth here. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. It's just all pink. You don't see a tongue or anything. And then from the side, it has some depth, but I don't know. I don't like the way this looks. And I knew it was going to look weird when they first showed pictures of it, but yeah. And then mine has some white still there instead of the pink. So I'm also trying to figure out a way to push this in more. I don't know if I have to just heat it up or carve it out a little bit more, but there seems to be a gap regardless. And it's not really wanting to go in all the way. So that's annoying. Let me know if on your copy you have the same issue. But as for the necks, they are supposedly supposed to be in this fixed position so you can get more articulation. I'm just going to take that off because it's going to fall off anyway. So you can get more of that like arched neck look. And then using the other neck here, that's that one there. So a little bit less range than this one. And you can see the difference there. But yeah, I think it just would have helped if they would have given more torso articulation as well, so you can get super dynamic poses, but I digress. The last accessory that he comes with, and I don't know how most people feel about this, they added these in when they were doing, not added this specifically, but added something similar when they were doing the Street Fighter line of S.H.Figuarts, where they gave you these like cardboard cutouts for their stages. And while this is really nicely printed out, and they're kind of big, while this is nicely printed out, I don't really like this. Like, I would never pose this on the shelf or like in a DTOF or anything like that, but you can see it says Cyclops, optic blast, really nice printing, very clear, see every pixel. But yeah, I don't want this. Like, they could have saved money on this and put more shading on the figure or improved his ab crunch, let his torso rotate instead of giving us these chunks of cardboard. But that's it for his accessories. Wait, actually, that's not it. I forgot. This little thing is so small. But he comes with this piece, which shows his visor is ignited, or he's about to blast someone. So we could take off his head. Take off the hairpiece. Once you take off the normal visor, which still doesn't really sit in there the way I want it to, you can put this one in, and that's how that looks. So you can see this side is closer to being fully plugged in, but again, this side is just not fully in there. So I don't know what's going on with that. And this is the JP release, so maybe they'll fix it on the normal North American release. But yeah, I really don't like that separation. Although you don't really see it. in certain angles, but, you know, of course, coming from the side with some of those effects, you'll definitely see that, so it's annoying. Let's move into some size comparisons. For our first size comparison, here he is standing next to the CT Toys Brown Suit Wolverine, and then the InArt Dark Knight Rises Batman. Batman's knees are bent a little bit, but you can still tell that he's taller than the Cyclops. But Cyclops is taller than the CT Toys Wolverine. If you have the normal Mafex next to him, I feel like they'd stand at least kind of close to the same height, or he'd be a little taller at least. CT Toys did scale him down just a little bit. And I see why people want to make Cyclops taller, because he is taller than Wolverine. And then here he is standing next to the Storm Collectibles and Bison and the Storm Arena Ryu. I think this height is perfect. In that one picture, you know, from the loading screen where they're shaking hands, looks like they are supposed to be the same height, or at least close to it. And I do like this height sizing for both of them, actually, versus Bison. I just like how imposing that looks. I mean, granted, whenever they get to the Storm Arena Bison, he's probably going to be shorter, so maybe he might come to, like, right here to the top of Scott's head. But yeah, I think this looks really nice, and you can definitely mix and match, at least with this Bison, and your smaller Marvel vs. Capcom figures. And then for the domestic line, here we have the Jada Toys DJ and the Jada Toys Cammy standing next to Cyclops. Again, I do think that this pairing looks nice. Cammy is shorter, which she normally is. I don't know if she's supposed to be a little bit taller, or if her scale in Jada Toys isn't actually accurate, but she looks accurate to me. DJ, again, is pretty tall. I think this looks really nice together. Another quick comparison here. Here he is standing next to the Games Begin Goku. If you want to line them up with your Dragon Ball figures, or pose them with them, that's how they would scale. All Dragon Ball stuff is probably going to be smaller, except when you get into the bigger characters like Broly, Android 13, Raditz, etc. And then here he is standing next to a Ling Ji-hoon Ninja Turtle. This is Leonardo, if you couldn't tell. Again, I think the scaling is interesting because Ling Ji-hoon is huge. They're not 1/12 scale, but I think they do look good all together. Last but not least, we have him standing next to a Marvel Legends animated series Spider-Man and a Marvel Legends Iron Man. If you just want this Cyclops to put into your Marvel Legends display, this is how he'll look next to them. I think he looks fine. Again, he can be taller. I'm making a waist or a torso adjustment ball peg just for that, actually, because I do want him to be taller and see if it improves his articulation. But yeah, definitely, I think you can put him with these guys if you don't like any of the Marvel Legends offering until they make like a maximum Cyclops, and then you can grab that guy. But yeah, I think he looks great. So for final thoughts, as much as Cyclops is not my favorite X-Men, and for the most part I would have never thought to purchase a Cyclops figure ever, I am glad I picked this guy up. Some of the cons though, one, this leg on mine is just like wiggly and loose, but it's interesting because this is made in the Chinese factory, so yeah, if you guys can see that. This is not a Vietnam QC issue problem, so I don't know. It doesn't mean he can't stand or anything like that, but it is just something to be aware of, at least on my copy. Again, he has no bottom torso swivel whatsoever. Like, you can't even force it to move, and I don't know what the reasoning is. I would pull him apart, but I'm afraid he might break, and then, you know, that's $80 down the drain, $100, $90, whatever I paid for it. This is the Japanese release, by the way. So he, you know, did come with tariff and import fees, but I think normally he's like 100, maybe more on like domestic sites, which I think all of the Gamerverse S.H.Figuarts are. I don't think they're worth $100, to be honest with you, maybe 70. That's what I would charge for this. I mean, Wolverine doesn't even come with his like actual effect parts. It's more the cardboard, and I really don't care for the cardboard. Some pros for this guy: I love the blue shading. Like, the dark blue shading is awesome. I found it interesting how they did the straps on his suit, so they do pull out and extend, you know, while you're posing him. I think that's really nice. I do like the hair sculpt, although it's not shaded or painted. I do like the hair sculpt. I think the face sculpt is fine. The accessories I think are pretty cool. I don't know what else you could have given him besides like a smiling head. That would have been nice. This is kind of like a neutral, I guess, contempt face. But yeah, another gripe again with the visor, I hate that all the faces don't really plug in properly, so they don't really meet the yellow here. This one is not bad because it's the main face that goes on it, but the other two irritate me. Don't like that. But yeah, do not pay an exorbitant price for this guy. If Cyclops is your favorite character, I mean, okay, pay the $100, but don't go crazy and pay scalper prices for this guy or any figure. Tamashii Nations can definitely improve. Again, this diaper situation has got to go on their future figures. It really breaks up the sculpt where like characters don't have underwear like this, and I just think it looks ugly. It doesn't do anything like special that just a normal soft plastic diaper can do, but that's just my opinion. Let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, thank you guys as always for watching. Take care and have a great rest of your day.